meeting is being recorded.
Hello, and welcome to the Traumaplicity podcast with your host, Dr. Amanda Hellman, author, breakthrough coach, and speaker. Traumaplicity podcast is trauma plus simplicity. And you think, why? Well, trauma plus simplicity, meaning simple steps to help us navigate some complex or processes of trauma. And so we want to provide you with encouragement and hope in the journey. And so there's amazing guests, including tonight. I can't wait to share all about her, but we're going to talk about our stories, parts of the trauma story, parts of the strategies and tips that will help you, and then also words of encouragement. And with that said, tonight's guest is Brooke Kekos, and Brooke helps those who feel alone and lost to discover their truth and stand in their personal power using her training as magnetic mindset coach. She has rapid transformational therapist, RTT, clinical hypnotherapist, and relational mentor. She's had 35 years trapped in a religious sect, indoctrination, abuse, and trauma that happened and were prevalent. Raised by a narcissistic, abusive father, she got stuck in toxic relationship cycles. This led her to enter into a marriage for 17 years with a narcissistic, abusive man. However, in 2017, Brooke found her personal truth and power, and she was able to break free from both the relationship and the religion. Shortly after, her ex-husband and father to their 2 sons passed suddenly due to addiction. With this great loss, it ignited her desire to heal more deeply. After 18 years as an esthetician, listening to people's stories, she knew that she could do more to serve those suffering and help them on their healing paths. She is currently working on her book, a speaker, and is a speaker to help others in their own transformation, and the owner of Life Coaching Goddess. Her passion and purpose is to help others heal from past traumas, toxic relationships, and limiting beliefs that no longer serve them. Brooke, it is such an honor to have you here and hear your story. And with that said, I'd love to hear, obviously this was a part of the background, but from your perspective, what's your story? And let us know.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you, first of all, Amanda, for having me here on the show. I really appreciate it. It's a great space to be in. Awareness is obviously what we are both about, right? By telling our stories and getting the awareness out to people. So as far as my story goes, that kind of was just a small little portion of really how large it really was. But the part of me growing up in a religious sect that was controlling and abusive really set me up for feeling all of these feelings of limiting beliefs, right? Of feeling controlled, feeling like I was never enough. I always had to be doing more because you were judged and you were also looked at as if you had to be doing something. And if you weren't doing that, then you were frowned upon or looked down upon, right? And so with that, it really set the stage for me feeling that all of my life, as well as being raised by a narcissistically abusive father, that I never felt enough there either, right? So I wasn't getting my needs met at home. Things were really controlling within the dynamic of the religion. And I was also, you were made to do things just so. And if you didn't, then there were repercussions, and there was such things as being kind of cast out of the religion or the church, if you will, for a period of time until you kind of were repentful and if you sinned or something. So when that happened for me as a teenager, it was really difficult for me because you actually don't get to talk to your friends and you're not really a part of the society, if you will. So that really started to create this space of really feeling left out and realizing that if you don't do things by the rules that they are putting in front of you, then you're going to be cast aside.
Yeah, and I heard a lot of from those experiences. It's almost like your voice was not really heard, and you felt a lot of isolation and confusion, probably because, okay, I can't, share certain things with people during that time that you said, during the sect and the religious sect and everything, as well as growing up as a young girl and teenage girl. And so also in terms of later, you talked about your the father of your 2 sons with addiction passed away, and then that added to everything. And how did that impact you as well?
Well, when I broke free from the religion and the relationship in 2017, I kind of started my healing journey, right? started to see that things were not working and kind of saw that, I needed to start doing some deeper inner work. But in 2020, when that happened and my ex-husband passed from grief, and seeing my kids' grief and also having my own grief that I had to deal with, even though that wasn't the healthy relationship, there was still grief there, right? I spent 17 years with this man. So the grief itself really made me realize, oh my gosh, that I need to search for more and understand some things in a different way, and realized how much more trauma had just been thrown on top of my trauma stack, if you will. So I had to start really doing some deeper healing work. I was already in therapy, but traditional talk therapy wasn't really doing much for me. It was kind of just like going and processing over the same stuff over and over again, right? And I didn't feel like I was moving forward. I was kind of really, really stuck, and I had really severe complex PTSD, anxiety. I was kind of just surviving, honestly, on anxiety medications, and I was really reliant on them because I couldn't function without them.
Yeah, so that's a lot, in dealing with all that and the grief, and then having different medications just to really help with all the different changes that were happening in your life. So thank you for clarifying and sharing more in addition to everything you were doing. And so with that, there was a journey, and you mentioned that in 2017, you started a deeper journey. What were some of the maybe 3 or 5 strategies that you used to help you through your journey?
So I think what really started to begin to help me was realizing that I had to start searching for other modalities than just traditional talk therapy. So when I started to get into EMDR, I found hypnotherapy. It's why I do what I do today, because hypnosis has really helped me understand a little bit more about the subconscious mind. And then I really realized how important it was to stay present. And when I say that, a lot of people are like, wait, what does that mean? I'm like, when you have PTSD, right, and you have like this post-traumatic stress and whatnot, you know, your mind wants to take you back to this trauma. And so I didn't realize that was what was really happening every time I had this trigger, and the feelings and the dissociation and the anxiety and all of these things. So learning how to stay present and regulating my parasympathetic nervous system was huge. So I had to do a lot of breath work. I had to learn how to stay present. I had to begin some meditation practices, which I think really helped me to start to calm everything down. And also reframing and rewiring my mind, right? Everything that kind of came up, I realized how much of a negative space I was in. I was like always thinking negatively. And so I had to start to really rewire that and start to see the positive in things and start to relieve it, right? And with that, it really helped me begin my healing process. But it wasn't easy. Like people are like, I make it sound like it's so easy. I mean, it's not easy. This is a battle. Like you're in a battle with your mind and your body, and healing this trauma.
Thank you so much for sharing, Brooke. And these are really, again, they seem like they're somewhat simple, but it takes time to learn. So you mentioned a lot of breath work, which does that again. Learning how to breathe, and even including my journey, was interesting, right? Oh, I'm not necessarily breathing as well to help me actually breathe and take it in and be present. So I relate. And also just where you talked about not necessarily having the talk therapy. Okay, so talk therapy didn't work for me. What can I use? The hypnotherapy, or, using different modalities to help support people really process and heal from the trauma, as well as just really reframing. And reframing, as you mentioned, is sometimes it takes time to reframe our brain and our thinking and rewriting that. And I'm glad you mentioned that it does take some time, and that you experienced that as well. And so even in the audience, Brooke, there may be people that are starting out, perhaps where you started with the rewriting, or even the reframer saying, oh, like, what do? I just feel like it's never ending. And is there hope? So what would be some words of encouragement you have for anyone in the audience who is facing this?
I would definitely let them know that, I think we want to run from the things that don't feel comfortable, right? We want to run from the things that don't feel good. And so, but realizing we can't heal what we don't feel, right? So we are going to continue down the same repetitive patterns. The same stuff is going to keep kind of slapping us in the face until we decide for ourselves that we really are going to go ahead and move forward and really process the stuff that needs to be dealt with and uncover it. And I always let people know that I'm still on this healing journey, right? It's never really done, right? We always think, okay, well, I did the talk therapy, I should be good now, right? Or I did this, I should be good now. No, we're always on that. We're always growing, expanding, evolving, uncovering what is there to uncover, right? And continue on our journey. But the more that we do that, the more we're going to evolve and manifest this really great life that's going to be more peaceful and fulfilling.
That's wonderful. And I love how you shared that it takes time, that we're evolving, that you're on the journey, because it is true. There's ongoing layers. And sometimes, as you mentioned, sometimes people say, oh, I thought I dealt with this. Well, here it is to unravel deeper. So I love that you mentioned that it's an ongoing transformation. And so, Brooke, I know you do a lot of great work. You've had a lot of experiences of your own. Is there any other additional information or thoughts that you want to share with our audience in regards to perhaps your journey, their journey, as we're finishing up this interview?
Yeah, of course. I would say that, not to be afraid of the things that you're not familiar with, right? A lot of people they're not open to other types of modalities because they're afraid and they're not familiar with them, right? But really being open to seeing that there is so much out there now to offer you, so that, we're creating this whole mental health awareness now, knowing that right now is more than we've ever needed mental health, right? So being open to hypnotherapy and EMDR and these type of things, these modalities that everyone is offering now, because it really can move you quicker through your healing journey and can really start to actually see massive shifts for you. So, and remembering that, your flaws make you beautiful. So everything that you've been through is there for a purpose and for a reason, and you get to be able to heal as you want to.
Thank you so much. And those are great points that, again, we'll have different people in the audience and with different backgrounds, different experiences. And there's so many different people out there today, Brooke, that have different backgrounds. And that the biggest thing is for you to get some help and healing and having people that are with you, that can walk with you on the journey. So thank you, Brooke, for that. And certainly we do have your information. Brooke, I know I have your website and your information and Instagram. So certainly all the information will be posted for this podcast, even on the Apple YouTube. So certainly check Brooke's information out, check her out. Certainly a lot of background and experiences. So thank you, Brooke, and everyone has tuned in. Remember, we have our Traumaplicity podcast every week, and certainly have amazing guests such as Brooke come on to share their stories, share why they are in this field, and to help you and let you know that your message and your voice matters. So again, thank you so much, Brooke. Everybody, take care and see you next week.